everyone. I am Sanjam Sachdeva and you are listening to the podcast called which is here to inspire you. Hi everyone. So today's podcast is a very special topic. I call it as the brave wings that she took to fly. So for today we are welcoming our commercial pilot Yashika Tripathi, who took her training of being a commercial pilot from Texas, America. I would not like to spend more time in introducing her, but would like to take a direct leap and introduce her. Hi Yashika Tripathi, I'm so glad to have you on our podcast as a commercial pilot. Hi, how are you doing?
Thank you. Hi Sanjam, thank you so much. I'm doing quite well. How are you?
I am doing absolutely well, dear. And I'm so much looking forward to listen to your story. Being a woman myself and love for flying, I am looking forward to understand what it takes to be a commercial pilot or to set up a career into flying industry. So let us start with it. So my first question to you is, in this world of popular choices of being a doctor or an engineer, what inspired Yashika to do this different route of learning as a pilot?
Basically, I've always been a free spirit from childhood.
Right.
Got it from my dad, from my father. My father was the one who inspired me to do this. I had no idea what a pilot was. As long as I remember my childhood, my father used to tell me that, you should fly, you should be a pilot. And I would tell all my friends and teachers asking me, what do you want to become in the future? I'd always tell them I want to be a pilot. When my friends even didn't knew what a pilot was, I would explain it to them what a pilot is.
Very nice.
It was my dad who inspired me, my father. And he supported me in every manner when I was from a very small town. My extended family didn't really want me to go to US. It was rarest of the things. None of my siblings have been to US to study, even the male ones. So going to US at an age of 17, I was just 17 at that time, was a struggle for my father too, answering to so many people. But it was a worth cause and it was a well worth journey for me too.
Very
It was my father who inspired. Yeah.
At such young age of being 17, you traveled all across to US and took this leap of faith to take this skill set, right?
Yes.
Very nice. And what was your inner fire? Like, what were you thinking that only you have to become a commercial pilot, and what was your inner drive to do that?
Like I said, unlike others, I've always been a free-spirited person, and it didn't take too much of courage, to be very honest, to go there. It was a normal me, to be very honest to you. It was a normal me going abroad and studying, and of course, the other people, it wasn't normal, so normal, and they were scared for me, my family and my parents. I was very excited instead, and I was ready to, go into the world and show myself, make my parents proud.
Oh, very nice.
That was what for me.
That's interesting. So I'm sure that must have aroused some kind of curiosity among the audience. To kindle more on that curiosity, I would like to question you that what is that route that people can take to take flying as their career? What are your suggestions? What is your guideline to the people or the audience listening to this?
Yes, Sanjam. This is one thing which people must know actually. A lot of people come to me and ask me this very question that, I want my daughter to be a pilot or I want to be a pilot, and they have no clue how to pursue that. So when it comes to aviation, there are many options. Number one option is to be on the ground, and the number two option is to be flying. And then when we come to flying, then there are many segregation there. Number one is the Air Force. Now we've seen that movie as well, right? Gunjan Saxena movie.
Right.
So people are seeing that even the girls can be. Of course, such movies are really great to inspire girls to go that way. The girls are also welcome in Air Force now. Air Force is the number one option, though it is a difficult one to take as it requires a high level of medical fitness. Number one.
Right.
Number two, a high level of awareness and eyesight as well.
Right.
So that is one option that people have, Air Force. The number two option that they have is in the Air Force, rotary, that means helicopter or the fixed wing, right? The airplanes. These are the two options in Air Force. Then the number three option is the commercial line. In commercial, we have fixed wings as well as rotary, the helicopters.
Okay.
So these are the major four options that people have if they want to pursue being pilot as
a flying career. Right.
Yes.
So four options that you suggested. And as a commercial pilot, what is your suggestion that what is the career line for a commercial pilot?
Actually, it's quite lucrative. People are paid very well. The jobs are amazing. Very good society. Everything is great. The study is not that difficult, to be very honest. If you're an average student with 60% percentage of marks in 12th standard with physics and math, you can actually pursue this career.
Okay.
Though it takes a lot of money to investment, I would call it investment to be a pilot, but you don't need brains to be a pilot, to be very honest. Not a lot of brains.
All right. So it is an investment of money initially, which pays off well in the end.
Of course.
Right. Is there anything like you took your studies from external, like from international borders, like US you went? Do we have options in India where people can take?
Yes, we do have options, quite good options actually now. We have 2 to 3 government flying clubs which are really good. Of course, we have more government schools. But the IGRUA in Raebareli, then we have one in Gondia. These two are really good. They have tie-ups with Air India and Indigo. So that way you directly get a job if you pursue your career through them. Then why I went to abroad is one question that you might have, is because in 2008, the US dollar was really less. It was like $1 was 38 rupees to 40 rupees. And it was cheaper there in US to pursue this career than in India. Plus, US schools had more facilities, more airplanes, more instructors. So the training quality was good back then there. But now it isn't so much different in India. So even in India, you can pursue the same.
Awesome. That's interesting information. Yes. So India has now developed a good infrastructure for this as a career within the country.
Yes,
True. And within the question that you were answering, a very interesting point came in about being a woman and flying. This combination is very unique and now emerging well in India. So what are your intakes or what are your suggestions? As a woman, you took a very different route or a direction to learn. So what are your suggestions to the girls or the women listening to our story right now?
I would rather say that being a woman, it is easier to take risk in India.
Yes.
Not to discriminate, of course, not to discriminate, but this is how the society is. We can't deny the rules that the society plays here in India. So being a woman, it is easier to take different fields, different visions, to have, you can actually fulfill your dreams. Being a male, they definitely have restrictions. Somehow they have to make money. Otherwise, their life goes for a toss. Being a woman in India, it's easier that way. So I would say that each girl must pursue their dreams. Each girl must pursue their dreams. It's easier here, I think.
Right. So pursuing dream is one of the key messages that you will say that women should look forward to, and they should go ahead and take the leap of faith.
Of course, not just for women, for everybody. But for women, it is easier here in India.
And how is this career or flying as a career for women? What are your insights on that?
Again, not to discriminate, women have greater awareness, I feel.
Right. Right.
So flying needs a lot of awareness. You need a lot of perfection. You need a lot of discipline there. Women, contrary to the male part, they are more aware. They are more disciplined, I feel. Of course, we can't generalize it, but if we talk about the greater percentage of women, they are more disciplined and aware, and they do very well in this career. That's what I've seen so far.
That's very nice. Yashika, I would like to question one more thing. That is, how much time did it take for you to have your training complete? What was duration for that training?
For me, it was approximately a year and a half, including giving my exams back in India and then taking my license and everything. Took me a year and a half.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So is the process same? It takes 1.5 year as in time?
It varies. It varies from flying school to flying school, from, of course, from person to person as well, because there are many processes that you have to go through. And
Okay.
if those processes happen in time, then 1.5 years is the most that it takes. Of course, if you're doing your training from IGRUA or Gondia Flying School, because they also provide you a degree, a MSc, a BSc degree in aviation, along with your training.
Right.
So that way it takes 3 years there.
That is so nice. That's a well put question answers here. So with this, I would like to question one thing here, that in this COVID times wherein everybody is under a lockdown, has seen so much of things, and some countries are again having lockdowns. What in this world time, in this time of COVID, where the world is looking for new hopes, what is your message to all?
The message is quite clear, I would say. In fact,
Right.
all of us might have already have this in our minds, that we have been fighting amongst ourselves, being it cold wars or being it actual wars. We've been fighting amongst ourselves based on religion or countries or whatever. But now is the time to realize that there is another power which is fighting against all of us, and we need to unite against it. If we don't unite, many such powers, many such things will come and destroy us. So now is the time for the world to unite together instead of fighting amongst ourselves. This is the message I would give, and in fact, all of us might be realizing it.
That is such a beautiful note, that it's time to unite and collaborate with each other. Right. So that is the way I will say that is concluding note for the talk. That woman which had a brave wings to fly is having a message that it's time to unite, and it's time to understand with the time of hopes are to collaborate. Yashika, it is such a pleasure to have a talk with you, to understand the insights of flying as a career. And you are an inspiration for me and for many who would listen to your podcast. Thank you so much for giving your precious time and making us understand the insights of the industry.
Thank you, Sanjam, for having me.
Stay tuned with the podcast, and we'll launch every Monday a new story to keep you inspired. Happy listening, Podcast Chords.